Our purpose here today is to determine this man's future. We've taken a long, hard look at an event that happened in his past. Prison or freedom. Peter Shanusi, I'm 22, and I switched high schools like 7, 8 times.
I went to about 5 high schools, not really by choice.
I met Andre a little bit over 2 years ago, and I went to volunteer to teach yoga at a continuation school.
My dad didn't get too much advice. He was like, your first day in high school is like your first day in jail, you know?
I've seen kids get stabbed here. I've seen the police run up in classrooms, kids get shot.
I think before I met Peter, he was someone who was really trapped inside himself, and he had certain emotions and experiences that he didn't know how to communicate and he didn't know how to manage inside of himself.
So I'm pointing the camera at myself because I don't want to point it out the window. You don't really want to be pointing no camera at anybody. You don't want anybody to misuse their imagination anyway. And thinking we gang affiliated or anything like that, so.
The big thing that I'm finding for young people considered at risk is really learning how to handle one's emotions, especially anger.
Wore the same clothes and shoes for a long time, a very, very long time. I never met my dad before, just hear stories about him. My brother was murdered. My sister died from some disease. And my mom is a beautiful woman. I know it's just hard for her to take care of us, so.
I know what the gang life expectancy is. Nobody really expects to make it past 21. And I got tempted to join a few gangs or whatnot just so I can get some backup. I even kicked it with a few cliques, but I didn't bang with them. I just kicked it with them so I could have backup.
I think the reason for a lot of kids join gangs is because out here it's so hard to just anywhere on earth, you know what I mean, where you don't get a lot of love at home, and it's just like really, really, really difficult for them to get that support.
You know, I wanted to buy a gun and kill somebody. I wanted to buy weapons and baseball bats like my friends did. We had to arm ourselves.
If one has grown up in that sort of setting a lot, I can imagine a lot of internal anger begins to brew. And then if you're carrying that anger, you actually become more of a projection board for people to project their anger onto you. And you're more likely to be treated with disrespect and racism and discrimination.
It's juvenile hall. A lot of kids come here, a lot of kids in Los Angeles, and a lot of the gangs come in here. So I came here because I was bad. But my experience would have been a lot different if I would have taught how to do all this if I was here, because you have so much time in there, in that little room, and I'd be a different person. Just like Malcolm X being locked up in prison and always reading every day, because you have so much time.
I think for Peter, yoga gave him some tools for dealing with his anger that were really vital.
I wasn't expressive towards my anger. I wasn't letting it out. I just took it all in and it just destroyed myself.
The first time I went to go teach Andre instantly was in the front row, as if he'd been practicing yoga his whole life. And he became a role model to the rest of the class, and he'd never done yoga.
That's when everything started improving. At the same time, you know, I started realizing I had a choice on what I could do with my life. When I got angry, I had a choice. Oh wait, I have a choice. I don't have to get mad and hurt somebody or hurt myself.
You know, he'd obviously been kicked out of school. He was having a lot of trouble with anger and with pot.
When I did yoga, being able to stop smoking, because I felt high, I felt good. When I got out of a yoga class, I felt real good and calm. I didn't need to smoke nothing. I felt high, plus I was smarter, plus I was feeling good, plus I was fit. And my mind started clearing up because I was doing more yoga.
He is just at the beginning of his yoga journey and starting to get curious about meditation and health and lifestyle, which to me are all part of the yogic journey.
I went on the yoga retreat, which really did it. Got that raw food, started turning into a total hippie myself.
Change is really difficult, and yoga does challenge the entire fabric of one's being and asks us to look at it. So you have to be ready for an internal revolution.
I mean, who's gonna accept their friends if they're sitting there in yoga studios in little shorts, doing little stretches and all that stuff, you know, talk about Hey, yo, what up, man? I was just doing some vinyasa poses, man. That shit was the shit. You're not gonna hear that, you know? Maybe one day, but if they only knew how powerful it was, you know, and what it could do to them, it'd probably change a lot of minds. But that's why knowledge is so powerful, because if they only knew.
Since whatever comes out of your mouth lets people know what you're about, then I'm gonna stay away from the simple poetry that sounds cute, because I'd rather give y'all the truth. I'm not the only homeless kid that's learning to trade crack for money. While y'all watch current TV for entertainment, my life is in danger being a tragedy behind a gun holster. I'm not bringing the typical black male blues you hear your basic rap music or see on your evening news. Yeah, I've been in group homes and institutions. I used to hype the essays up and the Bloods and Crips. But I stand in front of you today because the journey holds a secret that the traveler's unaware.
Yoga's about being really present and really able to show up. And I think so many of our society's problems has to do with people who are numbed out and not present and disconnected and not connected to the ramifications of their actions, whether it be what we're doing to the environment, how we treat other beings.
They try to medicate these kids because they think they're on ADD, they have ADD and all that. No, their kids is like a newer generation and they need more places to put their energy.
So yoga forces us to be present with ourselves and forces us to then be more responsible human beings on this planet.
You're operating as like a being in this world. If you don't know how, like you're like a machine in a game or whatever. How are you gonna play the game if you don't know how this little machine you're operating works? You know, you gotta find out about who you are better, then you can operate in this world better.
Prison of freedom.